Well, looks like we found out a little bit more about Castlevania Belmont's curse, so let's talk about it. What's going on, my fellow Belmonts? It's the Mad Belmont here, and today I'm going to be talking with y'all about the Triple I Initiative Showcase. This was a showcase that happened yesterday, April the 9th, okay? And it is, or was, I should say, a showcase kind of like Nintendo's Directs, but for indie developers. It was all indie developers, and since Castlevania Belmont's Curse is being developed by an indie studio, it was featured at this showcase. And they showed it off with like a minute and a half trailer, a minute and a half, I think it's like a minute and 34-second trailer, as well as they did some behind the scenes stuff with a developer interview afterwards. And today I'm going to be basically going through all the information that we learned from this showcase, okay? So let's get right into it. The first thing that we learned is that Konami still has not revealed the exact release date of the game yet. It is still being listed as just 2026, which to me means that it is kind of lining up with the theory that I've had for a little bit, which is the fact that I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I think that they're going to release Belmont's Curse in the later half of the year, okay? So that's probably why we didn't get a release date right now. And that is fine to me, okay? But when we start getting to around June, maybe July, and we still ain't got a release date yet, I'm going to be worried. But for right now, I'm not worried at all, okay? I would have liked to have known when the game's coming out, yeah, but I honestly still think it's going to be late September to anywhere in October whenever we get this thing. So that is one thing that we learned. We learned that they're still not actively telling us when the game is coming out, the exact date. We also learned some details about the world that we're exploring here, as well as some of the enemies that we're going to be seeing here in the game. This is set in Paris in 1499, and we are going to be exploring things like Notre Dame, which a lot of you were telling me in the comments of my trailer breakdown video that I did for the first trailer for this game. A lot of you were saying Notre Dame was what I was talking about. We now know that that is confirmed, and so we also know that there are some enemies along the way. Like there was one I saw in the trailer called the Fallen, which I'm already theorizing in my head is the werewolf from the first trailer that was standing there looking so imposing and just throwing things at you. I'm thinking that the Fallen, this character that you're seeing on the screen right here, I think that they are the werewolf that we saw in the first trailer, and we see him again in the second trailer here. Now, as to who this character could possibly be, I think that it could either be a Belmont that's been cursed, or someone that this Belmont that we're playing as knows that could be cursed and is afflicted with this werewolf curse, and they're trying to deal with it in their own way. And I guess one of the ways is just aligning themselves with Dracula and coming after us, you know, or something like that. And we also hear in the trailer that you are fighting corrupted legends of Paris, like they showed Joan of Arc as one of the examples. So we fight a corrupted Joan of Arc, which was in the first, who was in the first trailer, and she was more prominently featured in this trailer right here. And that got me to thinking, okay, so since we get to face off against corrupted figures from Paris, and we get to go to Notre Dame, do we get to face off against like a corrupted version of the Hunchback in Notre Dame? Do we get to do that? If so, that would be sick. That would be awesome. I actually would be all over that. No joke. I really would be all over that. So it did get me to theory crafting a little bit, and let me know if you want me to craft some theories about this game in a separate video down in the comments. Now that was all the stuff that we learned from the trailer itself. Now we're getting into the stuff that we learned from the developer interview that happened in the post-show. And the first thing that I came away with when it comes to this developer interview is just how much Evil Empire and Motion Twin actually thought about the world of this game and how it kind of fits in with the Castlevania mythos, I guess you could say, the lore, how it fits into all of that here in this game, because it is set in Paris, and they were thinking about that the whole way through. It was an interview with the art designer, with I think one of the level designers, as well as Taniguchi-san, and the Evil Empire guys. They were talking about, you know, how Paris fits the gothic atmosphere that Castlevania is known for, and I love that. I love that in the way that, you know, they're thinking about what the legacy of the franchise is, and they're trying to figure out, okay, how can we make a game that perfectly fits into this, style-wise and all that type of stuff. I absolutely love that they are thinking about that. I hope that that translates over to the music, because we still haven't heard a whole lot from that soundtrack. We got the song from the first trailer, which we don't even know if that's in the game or not, and then there was some music in the developer interview, which I will leave a link to that and the trailer down below. And the music that was playing there kind of felt like something out of, I would say something like Portrait of Ruin, or I would say something like Dawn of Sorrow, you know, one of those DS era titles where it felt gothic but playful to an extent, and I love that. So hopefully all this music that we've been hearing is stuff that, you know, is being considered. How does it fit into a franchise that has a legacy of fantastic music across the board? So yeah, glad to see that the team is really thinking about this. Next up, we know what the inspirations were from both a story and a gameplay standpoint. From a story standpoint, it's pretty obvious. They went from Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, as well as Castlevania Curse of Darkness, which I have a copy of back there. So yeah, those two games are what inspired this from a story perspective. And then from a gameplay perspective, they cited two games, both of which I hold in very high regard. Number one, and most important, is Super Castlevania 4, actually, which I did not expect to hear. My favorite Classicvania, and the one that I think is the best Classicvania ever made, is one of their inspirations for the gameplay. And it should have been very apparent to me, because we've got whip swinging in this game. That was a thing that was very prevalent in that game. And so we get that, but they wanted it to feel more modern. They didn't want it to feel as wiggly as it did back in the day on the Super Nintendo. So I'm glad that they're bringing that type of gameplay style into this. And then the second one, very obvious, my favorite game of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That is their second gameplay inspiration, and that's what they're using for exploration. And of course, we saw in the trailer for this new trailer that there's leveling up and items to manage from the first trailer, stuff like that. Typical Igavania stuff that we saw in Symphony of the Night, the GBA games, the DS games, stuff like that. It's in here in this game, and I am 100% down with this, okay? Having gameplay elements from Super Castlevania 4 mixed with the exploration and RPG kind of systems of Symphony of the Night, beautiful, perfect marriage. I absolutely love that from a gameplay perspective. So really excited for this game. That right there made my hype go from the ceiling to absolutely shattering the ceiling, and now Now my hype is through the roof for this game, as if it wasn't already. Finally, we learned that Taniguchi-san, this man right here, is not just the producer for this game, but he's now effectively taken over as like the face of Castlevania. He's basically taken over. You know how Iga was like, Castlevania is my baby, he was the producer for the whole series? That is what Taniguchi-san is right now. He is in that role, and so that is a big deal because Taniguchi-san's been here at Konami since 2009. He started work on Pro Evolution Soccer PES, for all you PES players out there. But he's also done some work on some Castlevania stuff. He's done work on, I think he produced Castlevania Grimoire of Souls. He also produced all and overseen all of the modern collections that we have gotten. Anniversary, Requiem, and the freaking Advanced Collection, the Dominus Collection. He's overseen all of that, okay? So, this man has a lot of experience with this franchise under his belt. And so now, he is going to be what's carrying us forward in the future with this franchise. And Taniguchi-san, I hope and pray that with all of your decisions that you make with this franchise, I hope that it can live as just as good right now in the modern times as it did back in the 80s and the 90s. And I think with having someone like you who has literally overseen all of these collections, you know what a good Castlevania game is. You know what it takes to make one because you've seen all of these different games now with these different collections that you've done. You know what you got to do. So I hope that you can execute it pretty well. Okay, so that's all that we've learned from this showcase, and right now I can tell you all the stuff that we've learned here in this showcase with the trailer and with the developer interview afterwards. It's made my hype for this game even bigger than it is, okay? Because I think that we are in some mighty good hands here with Evil Empire and Motion Twin handling the main development side of things, and then having people like Taniguchi-san as the producer overseeing things, making sure that things fit into the lore and the mythos of the franchise. I think we're in some good hands here with this game. It sucks that we didn't get any information on like the release date or the actual confirmed name of the Belmont, but I can patiently wait for that stuff, okay? But I would like to know those things as soon as humanly possible. So, what do you think about this info, though? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's get a discussion going about this stuff. I want to discuss this with y'all, okay? And did any of what I had to say here in this video make your hype for the game even bigger than it was, like all this information did for me when I heard it? Let me know that down in the comments below as well. And with that, that is gonna do it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like on it. It lets YouTube know that you did and that I don't suck. Also, if you're new around here, consider hitting that subscribe button. I make Castlevania and Metroidvania content over here, so if that sounds like something you're into, hit that button down there, okay? Doesn't cost you anything, so why not? And you never get to miss an upload if you hit the bell. So, yeah, do those things right there, and we're good, okay? We're Gucci. So, with that being said, have fun on the hunt, my fellow Belmonts. I will see you in the next video, and peace out.